Hey guys, this is Whitney with Lights Camera No.
What's up, friends? Lauren here. I don't know why I said it like that. I don't like it. I hate it. I don't know why I did that. Start over.
I'm gonna start over. Okay.
It's my inner Eric coming out.
Now there's only
Miss
one
Eric.
person watching. It's just me.
All right.
Talker
Sorry.
left. Okay.
Idiot.
Hey guys, this is Whitney with Lights Camera No.
What's up, everybody? It's Lauren, and this week we're discussing the 2005 movie Dark Water, not to be confused with the 2019 movie Dark Waters, starring Mark Ruffalo. Very different.
There's a lot of movies named Dark Water.
And variations of it. Because I told my mom
Yeah.
today, I'm like, oh, we're talking about Dark Water tonight. And she's like, oh, the one, I'm like, not the one with Mark Ruffalo. Different.
Right. I had to say that. I was like, nope, not the current
That was more
one.
of a drama, I think, right?
Oh yeah, had nothing to do with. I think it had something to do with like an Aaron Brockovich type
Okay.
storyline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but
Um,
looked good.
No, we are talking about Dark Water this week because the new Elisa Lam documentary just premiered on Netflix. And I've been dying for this documentary to come out since I learned about it like a month ago. Because I'm mildly obsessed with this case and have been since it happened. And I like true crime, but it's not really
Love
my
true
like.
crime.
I like it and I can get involved when it gets weird. Like if there's a cult involved, if there's potential for supernatural aspects, I'm all in. Otherwise,
So
I'm kind of
did you watch the Heaven's Gate
I got through like
docuseries?
3 episodes and I was like,
There's only 4.
oh, really?
Yeah. I think. It might
Maybe
be
I
6.
maybe I only
I
got
think
through
it's
2
4.
episodes. But I feel like they were dragging it out. It's like, yes, we know about Bo and Peep or whatever their names were. And they just went into this whole backstory. And it's like, I want to know what they were telling these people to convince them that they needed to get a ride on like Haley's Comet.
Oh, I feel so bad for them.
Yeah, I have, and this is a little controversial, but like ever since like all the QAnon stuff has happened, I have watched people I know like kind of buy into that stuff. And these aren't stupid people. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm. You
you're,
said a little controversial. Just
it's
the word QAnon is like,
very,
fight me.
yeah, don't fight me. I'm just saying,
Please fight me.
I will fight you over it because I'm right. But I'm just saying, anyways, so
Anyway.
any sort of, we'll just edit. We'll just cut that part out where I mentioned Q. You know,
Yeah, like my embarrassing intro.
Yeah. We like when it has any sort of like supernatural aspect or something weird like that, I am all in. I like want to know everything about it. And from the jump, the Alyssa Lamb thing was just weird. Like the video of her in the elevator looks like she's talking to somebody. The whole how they found her, people were drinking dead body water.
Oh.
And just the history of the Cecil and all that stuff made me.
But the thing is, this movie Dark Water came out almost 10
eight years
prior to this
right.
Elisa Lam story. So like that's the most upsetting thing to me. And once we get through this story and then the Elisa Lam thing, the similarities are just mind-boggling.
Yeah, so you're getting kind of a 2-for-1 in this episode because we're going to talk about Dark Waters, but we're also going to talk a lot about the Elisa Lam case because there are so many like eerie similarities with it. So get ready, settle in for
grab a snack, grab a tea
for some true crime and some fictional crime. Okay, Lauren, are you ready?
Yes. First, the fictional crime summary of the fictional story, Dark Water.
All right, hit it.
Wanting to move away, babe. I am working. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, sorry. I was saying like, let's go. Like I was pumping you up.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Not rushing you.
Okay.
All right.
Wanting to move away from her cheating ex-husband, Dahlia, played by Jennifer Connelly, packs up her daughter Cecilia and takes her to a dreary tower block reminiscent of Chernobyl. There, Dahlia is haunted not only by her past, but the dreadful end of one of the building's former tenants.
Yes.
End scene.
AKA Elisa Lam. Just kidding.
Pretty much the baby version.
Yeah. This movie, I was actually very nervous to watch this movie because Japanese horror freaks me out. And this is based on the original movie was a Japanese horror movie that had come out, I think 2 or 3 years earlier.
Oh,
so
really?
Yes, it's by this. I believe this movie is by the same either director or producer that made The Ring. And
That
The
makes so
Ring,
much sense now.
like the shots are kind of similar and like,
Mm-hmm.
so
Water elements.
yes, loves the
Hair.
water.
Lots of hair.
Oh my gosh. So when the mom is, this movie stars Jennifer Connelly, John C. Reilly, Tim Roth, Doug Ray Scott, has a lot of people in it. But for the majority of the movie, you are with Dahlia, played by Jennifer Connelly, and Cecil, her daughter. She's like 5, 6 years old, played by Ariel Gade or Gade. It's Gade. So I'm probably butchering it, but you guys get the point. Dahlia has a terrible backstory with her mother. Her mother is awful. Like when she was little, she like left her at school all the time. She was an alcoholic.
I was gonna say, was she a drug addict?
I think they said she was an alcoholic. So
okay. And the dad was where?
The dad, I believe, was abusive and then he left, but I could be wrong. Maybe he just left and took off.
Okay.
Regardless, Dahlia as a child was stuck with this terrible lady and she mistreated her, which causes Dahlia to have all sorts of mental issues as she's older, which nobody could blame her. And she's going through this horrendous divorce and they set it up to hate the ex right from the get-go.
So was he supposed to be abusive or was he cheating on her? Was it
her ex?
Mm-hmm.
She says when they're in the lawyer's office at the very beginning,
she mentions like another woman or something.
They had to move to Manhattan for his job. And once he was there, he immediately met another woman and left her. So they were from the West Coast. So she was out from like Seattle, which is where you see her as a child and all the rain coming down or whatever. And then I guess
all the rain made sense, but then they suddenly, I mean, it rains a lot on the East Coast, but not and then that much.
Then they moved Seattle to they just took the rain from Seattle with them when they moved to Manhattan.
I wondered making this movie like what kind of soundstage or whatever that they used to like, because that was a lot of water, like throughout the water in the apartment complex. Outside it's raining all the time. Like where are they pumping this water from?
But I think that there is water in every single scene of this movie. There is some sort of water in every single scene.
I think you're right. I would need to go back and just do a quick,
whether it be, like a leak in the background or a cup of water. I think there's water. There's water in every single
drippage.
So she's having a hard time finding a place to live, and the dad wants her to live on Jersey Island.
So I thought it was Jersey City
and Roosevelt Island.
Okay.
Right. So the dad is in Jersey City and the mom found a place that was cheaper in
Roosevelt Island.
Roosevelt Island. Yes. And I know nothing about like the locations of places like that in New York.
I don't either. So and I
have no idea. Apparently Jersey City is further away from Roosevelt Island than her husband would have preferred.
Roosevelt Island resembled Chernobyl to me. Did you not?
Thank you. Yes.
I was like, why are they moving to this decrepit area? Is that really what it looks like?
You're like the same person as me, because as soon as I saw that, I looked at Michael and was like, are they moving to Chernobyl? Like what? I thought this was supposed to be like in New York somewhere. Yes. The way the apartment building was set up, it really did. It looked like the sitter part of the movie where they go in the movie Chernobyl Diaries.
Yes.
Except there's living people there.
Right.
Not ghosts. And they choose this apartment, and Mike actually noticed this and I didn't. He was like pressuring. John C. Reilly plays the landlord of this apartment complex. And did you notice how he was kind of pressuring her to get this place? He was acting like oh my gosh, I've got the Bergmans coming next. They're going to be here in like 20
Yeah, and I
minutes.
felt like the Bergmans were a plant. Like
They
they
weren't
weren't
even,
real.
if you noticed when she was leaving and she hadn't made the decision yet, he saw a couple walking up the thing and he's like, oh,
That
the
wasn't them.
Bergmans. Well, they turn around and look like, who are you talking to?
Oh my god,
He
I didn't notice
totally made
that.
that up. Yeah, I feel like that's his like game to try to get people to take the
Well, my whole
apartment.
thing was Ceci and like when they got there, she's like looking up in corners as kids do when something's clearly up, and she's like, "I don't want to live here. We can't live here." And then, does she get stuck in the elevator, or she runs up? She gets up on the roof, right, and has that interaction. She
It's
finds
the
the
roof.
backpack, and then suddenly she
Mhm.
wants to live there. So
Well,
what?
it's
Why?
because
Why the change of
Natasha.
heart?
Well, I think that's when she met Natasha,
Yeah, but I would have had
and that
that
was Natasha's
conversation.
backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been like, why did? Well, I think the mother thought. Well, the mother said when she was walking out, we can get you your own Hello Kitty backpack. We don't have to move here just for the backpack. And the little girl's like, no, I want to anyways.
I
And
like it here.
yeah, it's got plenty of friends for me to play with. And by friends, I mean one who's not alive. So they move into this nasty apartment. That whole building was gross.
Hmm.
Like it was disgusting. And they move in immediately. There's like a gross, like black leak in the corner of their shared bedroom. And everyone's just kind of nonchalant. Like at first, she just looks at it. She's like, "Hmm, doesn't look good." And then she just like walks away. Like,
Like,
I
that's
would
a
have,
problem. We need to go back downstairs and reassess the situation because a fresh coat of
yeah,
paint did not fix this place up as John C. Reilly said it would. Thank
no.
you.
And you'll probably know more about this than I do, but like the tones were really muted throughout the whole
Hmm.
movie. Did you notice that? Like the color tone, like the color palette that they used, it was
Everything
all
was like gray and that
or
like
green.
sick green, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know how they do that. Like I don't know if they use like filters, if they go back in after they filmed, or
And
I don't
lighting. A lot of it's lighting and they put like the gels over the light to get that
know. Oh, okay.
kind of effect. That's a common theater thing, but I certainly also do it in movies. But the part of me watching this, because everything was so gray and green and sick looking, I was like, is this like some sort of mental state she's going to be in and it'll all be a dream in the end, or
I
she'll
wondered
wake
that
up
too.
and be in a mental hospital? I don't know.
Yeah, I wondered that too. I was like, is she a reliable narrator? Can we really trust what she sees?
Yeah.
You know, but as soon as we walk in and the super is like, see, we've got safety glass on these like showers. And I was like,
Yep.
well, that's some
Problem.
foreshadowing. We're gonna find out why that's not as helpful as it might seem at first. And
Yeah.
they really just kind of live a miserable existence, it seems like. It just I feel so bad for them. Like the mom can't get it together. She has these like crippling headaches. The little girl is so, so sweet. That little actress was so good. Like she was so sweet.
Hmm.
Like when she would wake her mom up and be like, Mom, you're scaring me. And she's like, you do that a lot. And it's just,
And
I
when
don't
she did her
know.
hair and she was like, you always do it
Yes.
perfect. She was such a
Oh
good,
my
like
gosh.
attentive little daughter.
I know. And so, but I just felt, and it wasn't even like frustration, like with Dahlia, like not doing enough because it felt like she was trying her best, but she was just in like the most hopeless situation. She didn't have any family. She was all the way on the other side of the country from any friends that she might have had. And her husband was a cheating, jerk.
And
So
she
he
was
had
in
this
a
other,
like vicious custody battle with him too. So like there was
yeah,
the
he was
pressure of that.
awful. He was so mean to her.
And then
And
suddenly he flipped the switch at the end, which was weird, but we'll get to that.
well, because she was like, I'll move to Jersey City.
Right, but like the fact
And
that it took that's like a separate issue. He was suddenly
yeah,
like, "No, it's fine."
yeah, all
What?
right. I like you again. What?
Right.
The so then we also forgot to mention he's played by Peter Postlethwaite, and
Yes.
he's like the maintenance guy, but he sucks as a maintenance guy.
The Russian guy, what was he
Hmm.
Russian? Okay.
Yeah, Vec. They called him
Vec.
Mr. Vec. Even though it was
Yes.
if you watched it with subtitles, it was spelled Veeck. I was like, that
That's
is not.
how it is in the Wikipedia page too and on IMDb.
Why do they say Vec? Shouldn't it be Veek?
Veek.
Veek,
I
Mr.
don't know.
Veek. I don't know either. And at first, I thought that he knew something was up with the whole building, like possibly being haunted or something. And he was trying
Me
to
too.
protect the little girl. I was like, oh, he's not that bad. He's maybe kind of helpful because he didn't like, he was kind of mean to her about like the Hello Kitty backpack because he kept being like, nope. And then he like lied and said that somebody came and collected it and then they found it. So I was like, maybe he's trying to help him, but he was real mean about it. And it just, it did not turn out that way. He was not trying to be helpful.
Well, at one point I was thinking too, like as we start to learn more about this family that nobody lives up in 10F now, which is above 9F where Dahlia and Ceci live.
Mm-hmm.
But the more we find out about the family that used to live there, I thought that Vec might have had a connection or been like, I don't know, an uncle or some sort of
Yeah,
connection to that family.
I
And
did too.
at first I thought he was the dad, but that like wouldn't make sense really.
Well, there was an interesting conversation on Brian and Oshvin's Discord the other day talking about like haunted house movies. And if I'm remembering correctly, they were saying that there was like kind of not a boom, but there was a surge in haunted house movies when like the bubble burst in whatever, like 2007, 2008, I
Yeah.
think. And a lot of haunted house movies came out. And I think they compared like The Conjuring to that. I think that's right around when that movie came out.
Okay.
And a lot of it, they were talking about how it could be because the feeling of helplessness and not being able to move because of financial situations is like subconsciously something that everyone fears. And those like haunted house movies kind of prey on that, where it's like you're stuck in a terrible place, but you can't go anywhere because you don't have any money.
I love when movies do that, and it's like you would never think a horror movie is gonna analyze something like so complex or like
But they
boring as
do.
like a real life situation like that. But yes, they mirror, you're right, they mirror exactly what's going on like in the economy at the time. And that's so
Mm-hmm.
weird. I never thought about that.
Well, and I think, and I'd have to go back and read the conversation because I was like flipping back and forth from reading that and like doing something else when they were talking about it. And I want to say that they mentioned Amityville horror as well. And I don't know if there was some sort of recession
In
when that,
the first one.
Mhm. Yeah, when that
Ah,
one came out
interesting.
too. So
Huh.
and like, just think like a few, which I'm sure they will eventually make a movie about this. Remember like last year or the year before, I was sending you those, like, there was that story about that house in, gosh, was it like Jersey or maybe even Philly? I don't know. Where like that family moved in and they started getting the letters from like somebody called the Watcher, and they were like like the letters were
Oh,
talking about the kids, and it's because they got the house. They got the house at a really good price, and then they started receiving these letters, but it was like terrifying. Like the house backed up
I don't
to
remember this.
um like I know that I sent it to you because we talked about it, but I cannot remember where it was located, and I cannot remember the name
That's
of.
so creepy.
Yeah, it's so the guy knew, like whoever was doing it mentioned like their children and stuff, and in that thing the family was saying like, we could not afford to move. We had just dumped all this money in this new house that we bought, so we didn't know
Ugh.
what to do. And I think I can't remember how they got out of it. They ended up doing something where they were like, screw it, man, I guess we'll just.
I mean, I guess it gets to a point where you're like, I can't live like this anymore. Imagine how much sleep those people lost.
Oh yeah. So and that's what it reminded me of watching this
Mhm.
movie. She could not afford any place else. I mean, she was getting a $900 apartment somewhere close to Manhattan. Like there's like, that seems unthinkable.
Yeah. And the school, like you would think it would cost more because it was near a good school, but I guess because it was so Chernobyl-y, it was very affordable.
Well, and that's why I wish I knew more about like the locations of where everything was,
Mhm.
like Jersey City versus Roosevelt Island and stuff like that. I know nothing about the geography up there, so I like had no idea, but I was curious as to, because they were talking about how good the school was, and even the dad finally came around and was like, yeah, it is a good school,
Yeah.
at the end. So anyway, so she's kind of stuck there, and I can sit here and scream at the TV all I want that when she turned that faucet on and a giant strand of dark, wet hair came out.
Yeah, that's not how faucets work. And if that ever, she just kind of, it came out, she like accepted it and tossed it to the side. I would have been like, someone needs to come and take this sink apart,
Yeah.
analyze the situation.
Okay. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a very strong disgust of wet hair. I cannot stand it. It grosses me out, even if it's my own. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
you
even
won't take
like,
it out of the shower.
well, I don't like, I can't stand the way it feels when it gets around your fingers and stuff. So like if I'm in a like if I like go on vacation and we're at like a public pool and if a hair gets on me, I'm out. I'm like I just immediately have to get out of the pool. It's just disgusting. So the fact that they're living in what seems like a dead body water place with like dark water coming out of everywhere.
Dead
Uh
body water place.
yeah. So there's tons of stuff that happens where I can sit and scream, "Hey, I would have left," but I mean she really couldn't. So
No.
I mean, I probably would have just had to deal with the wet hair, but I would have been very grossed out by it.
Well, then too, like so that was one problem, which I'm gonna call a minor problem, because the like spot in the bedroom started as this like dripping, disgusting thing that just continued to grow until it pretty much was the entire bedroom ceiling.
How was it
What?
not how was it not dripping on their faces at night?
Oh, no, thank you. I don't know. And that pot, she just like put a pot there, went to work the first day, and then eventually it started. When was the first time she went upstairs? Was it when she got frustrated because she thought it was the kids making the noise? Because that's what the superintendent told her.
Was that before was that before he told her he would change the locks or right after? He was like, "I'll change the locks on."
She gets to a point where she's frustrated and here's word that these like other kids in the building are upstairs and they like turn all the faucets on in
Yeah.
10F.
And it ends
But
up being
like,
like not it ends up being just, ghosts. Because why? When she goes upstairs, she just goes on in, and there's literally like an ocean of water just
mhm.
sitting in that apartment. How is it not like flooding out into the hallway?
I'm gonna put my Eric hat on here. The logic of that, it would take so much water because the water would seep out of that apartment and like into the next space until it literally like sank all the way down to the first floor, filled that up, and continued to fill up. That's how space fills up, like, until it reached 10F. It wouldn't just be this pool that she's swimming
Right.
in and like, oh my god, oh my god.
And I like how the Mr. Vec comes up and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get right on this. I'll fix this right up." It's like,
He's turning
no.
everything off and he's like, oh, this is no problem. This happens all the time. What?
Yeah. No. That apartment is ruined and probably all the surrounding ones are ruined now.
Right.
Like, and why is nobody concerned that the water is black?
It's just
Nobody.
it's part of the allure of the building.
I would, especially now, I would be like, there's a dead body somewhere in your water tank. We need to go figure. I mean, if I found black water coming out of my sink, I'd be like, Mike, we need to check like the water tank or something. Like, what if there's a dead animal in it?
Well, yeah, I feel like that's the most logical thing. It's like, let's check the source first. Especially if there's a tower on top of your apartment building, which is like weird. That's not is that where water like usually comes from?
I guess in like certain cities, because think about the
They
Cecil
can't, yeah.
Hotel.
Yeah. Yeah. They can't I'm like having revelations.
But how do they get the water up there?
It has to like pump up from somewhere. Pipes underground, I would assume, right?
Then why doesn't it just go through the apartment
I don't.
complex?
We need a civil servant. We need to
Yeah.
interview a civil servant and learn about city planning.
If you're listening, please tell us.
Please tell us
Uh,
about the layout of New York and how
yes. I'm going to
apartment.
need a map, and then I'm going to need like maybe some schematics and blueprints.
Lots of stickers also.
Yes. Lots
Thank
of
you.
stickers. Anyways, poor Ceci, she's just trying to deal with her mom's unfortunate like health issues and trying to like stay positive between having to be jerked back and forth from her dad to her mom, like in two different places. And on top of it, she has everybody yelling at her that she can't have this imaginary friend. And Ceci is like, oh my gosh, I don't want her here. She just won't leave me alone. Like she's just with me all the time.
Yeah, and then she eventually starts leaning into the friendship, like regardless of what people are telling her, and that seems to be a mistake because the Natasha only wants one thing in the end.
Yes. And eventually, like they come in and they try to fix the leak. Like, and I think this is after, on top of, you know, Dahlia dealing with divorce, custody battle, a terrible new apartment complex, a landlord that won't listen to her, worrying about her daughter's like imaginary friend at school, trying to find a job that she can get to and from and get her kid. I mean, the lady has like 8 million things going on. I felt so bad for her. And finally, Mr. Beck comes up and he is just so like wild and he's swinging that like sledgehammer around to bust out the roof where the leak is. And it is just all like rotten, whatever. It's all black, gross drywall or what? I don't know. It's disgusting. And it just gets all over her beds. I'm like, and now she's going to have to go find new bedding.
Well, yeah, and also there's clearly like a internal issue in your structure. So like, but he just like slapped some, I don't know, caulk over it. And it was like, this will look better.
Slap some keels on it and just be done. We're done. They're not done because eventually Natasha follows Ceci to school and she's painting with what else? Watercolor. And she starts,
you're right.
Yeah. She starts messing around with her arm and is like jerking her arm back and forth. And Ceci's like yelling at her to stop, but Natasha, like, or whatever, you don't know who it is yet. You don't know it's Natasha because you don't know the backstory. But as we're watching, we see this little girl's arm get like, you know, ripped back and forth, like trying to like with that paint. So she gets in trouble by the teacher because the teacher is like, you should not have done that. And it's like, come on. How are you not like feeling a little bit?
The teacher was kind of mean.
Yes, and that teacher is from something. And I want to say she plays a teacher in something else. But
yes, she looked familiar to me too. But again, didn't. I like to torture myself and try to think of it on my own instead of looking it up.
I can't. I immediately have to like look it up on IMDb.
No, I'll think about it for like weeks, and then I'll be like, that's who she is.
No. I can't do that. So Ceci goes to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden, all the water starts shooting on everywhere, and it's all black. And it's overflowing the toilets. And she's like screaming. Well, apparently, I guess she just passes out because by the time Dahlia gets there, which was weird because she said she had a work thing and she couldn't answer her phone. I don't know. They just needed a reason, I guess, for her not to be there. And the dad took her home and he wasn't answering his calls. And I thought something was going to happen with the fact, because they even say, I think they're telling a story, and I want to say it's her lawyer who's played by Tim Roth, who says something like they both assumed the other had the child or something. That was like a running theme.
Yes, but that was weird because Ceci went to the hospital and the dad took her out of the hospital and then took her home. So and then Dahlia goes to the hospital and like learns this information. So wouldn't the hospital be like her dad took her, but she wasn't with the dad? But she was with the dad.
She was with the dad, and so
then why were they trying to spin that narrative of like, oh, I thought she was with you. Oh, I thought she was with you.
Well, I think that they were just trying to throw us off because she said he won't answer the phone, like, so she couldn't talk to him. She just had to go by whatever they were saying that he had her.
I thought they were going to spin it like she's an unfit mother. She's losing her mind. Like this is because that was her breaking point pretty much.
Yes, I did too. I thought that, but then they were talking and I swear it was the lawyer saying this. And let me ask you this. Did you think there was going to be like a bigger story with the lawyer? Because do you remember how he's like, I'm at the movies, I'm with my family. I can't talk. And then he goes in and he sits by himself in the movie theater.
Yeah, I got a weird vibe from him.
I was like, is it a dirty movie theater?
You pervert.
Is he getting ready to pull a Pee Wee Herman? Like, what is happening?
No, I did. And then I kind of thought like they might have a romance, but then that would have been like too much context in this movie. It's really just about like they were. Dahlia.
Yeah. So I guess is that when all of that happens, and that's when she goes up to the roof, because Dahlia this whole time has been seeing visions of Natasha. Like she's had like weird.
And relating to her too.
Mhm.
They share their stories mirror each other.
Yes. So I thought that that was right when she goes up to the roof, right? When
Well,
the
that's why okay, wait, that just made sense to me. That's why they spun that narrative of I thought you had her, I thought you had her, because that's what happened with Natasha. The
yes.
mom thought the dad had her. Natasha was basically left to fend for herself in this Chernobyl apartment complex.
How do you think like I don't understand how that happens. I have a
Bad
child.
bad parents. They're
Well,
bad
and I
parents.
I will point out there were several times that Dahlia left Ceci, would be like, stay right here. I'll be
No.
right back. And it's like,
No.
she's not going to do that. Why would you just say, come with me real quick?
Mhm.
Walk with me real quick. I would not, when Evie was that age, I would not let her out of my sight
Yeah.
anywhere we were at. And
Feel like that's normal.
yeah. So Dahlia kind of like, I mean, she did kind of drop the ball in that sense because she was constantly doing that.
And
And
after the one time that she runs away in that hotel,
mhm,
or not hotel, apartment, then that would be like, no, we're tethered at the hip now. You come everywhere I go.
yeah,
Thank
you
you.
blew it. You blew your chance. You are now attached to me. You are now my barnacle. Come along. But she didn't learn a lesson. So Dahlia's or Ceci's always getting like caught in an elevator by herself or whatever. And, you
Or up
know,
on the roof.
yeah, running around climbing into water tanks. And, anyways, that's when at some point during all of this, and I want to say it's right when all this is like breaking, where we don't know where Ceci is, Dahlia somehow goes up to the roof
Mhm.
and finds Natasha's body in the water tank, which I got the impression that they had left a long time ago.
Same. But
So,
she was like perfectly, I mean, even if they had left 8 months ago, she would not look perfectly preserved as she did. She would be a bloated, disgusting mess.
right.
She's in water.
Yeah. That state of the body like made it seem like it was just like 2 days ago or maybe a day earlier.
Yeah.
And
A
so
minute,
that's,
just a minute ago.
yeah. Yeah. Like maybe her mom really was coming back and they just didn't give her a chance. I don't know. But I don't understand how the parents moved
Mhm.
and they had been gone a long time.
That's what
At
hate
what
will
point?
do.
At,
I don't want to call and ask. Like,
that's insane. I don't know. That's insane to me. I
I
would never
know.
let something like that. Anyways, whatever. Horror. And so we think everything's good. Dahlia, like we end up finding out that Mr. Vec he knew about it or something,
Did
right?
he know she was in there? Or
I
he didn't
got,
check. I don't think he knew, but he also didn't check, so it was like
and
kind
he
of
kind of assumed, I don't know. It was kind of weird. And I had to rewind it and I still didn't understand exactly what happened. I was like, he had some sort of involvement because they end up arresting him for like
right.
criminal negligence or something like
Yes.
that, right?
So like I think that because he knew that when they found out about the backpack, he should have gone up and like investigated. Also, not to mention all this dark water coming out of different places.
Right.
Again, check your water source,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Vec. Everybody in that apartment building has been drinking dead body water for
But so
however long.
he gets arrested and Dahlia finds the body and you think like, okay, like the spirit of Natasha has closure. We can just move on.
Yeah. I
No,
thought,
no.
no, she pulled a Samara from the ring. Samara.
Yes.
And
Vengeful little
yeah,
biatch.
I hated her. And the one part that did actually scare me in this movie, though, I was sitting there in the dark watching it. And it's when she thought Ceci had gotten out of the bathtub and she was like, I'm getting
Uh-huh.
ready to read to her. And she walked by and I knew it was Natasha. They looked similar, but there was enough I knew.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, don't like that.
Mhm.
Don't like that at all. And the mom like starts reading her before she realizes that it's not Ceci and it's Natasha's
She like
ghost.
I mean her head was in a hooded robe, but I feel like if you like you put your hand on your kid's head, you know whether
I
or not
know.
it's your kid's head.
I know the shape of Vivi's head.
Yeah, like I
I
don't
know, like, what do you mean? How do you not? And Dahlia is just like, let me get this book out and read it. Oh my God, you're not my kid? Oh,
Yeah, wait.
what?
She's being now this is where the tub
The
doors
shower
come in.
curtain or
This
the
is
shower doors.
this is where they become a problem.
Yes. And I was like, oh, we got another scene from Crawl where the those damn shower doors can't be broken. So they're waterproof. Everybody can just drown in those things.
Yeah.
You're screwed if well, I mean, I guess you could just swim to the top and swim over. I don't know. Anyways, Natasha's in there and she's holding Ceci under, trying to drown her. And that is when Dahlia's like, take me instead. And that is all Natasha wants is a mom because she misses her mom. But it broke my heart.
I know. Like, what about Ceci? Can't Ceci have a mom?
Yeah. And Ceci's dad already kind of sucked. Like, they had pointed that out at the beginning.
To be fair, though, I feel like Dahlia was really just not having a good time living and maybe
was just ready to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, she's ready to just live like peacefully with new baby Natasha.
But it's just so sad. You see her like as Ceci comes up out of the water, you see Dahlia and Natasha walking down the hall holding hands.
Yeah, it's rude, honestly.
Yeah. It's like, how is Dahlia not going to resent her for eternity, literally?
Well, she doesn't really, because they have that little moment at the end where she like braids her hair in the elevator and Ceci's just like, thanks, ghost mommy.
How does ghost mom how does Dahlia not resent Natasha forever? She's gonna be stuck there in that crappy apartment building.
Well, that's what I mean. I guess she was just so mentally like the pressure just became but I can't understand the abandoning your kid aspect.
I can't either. No.
But
and that is what made me so sad. Like, I really did tear up when she came out of the elevator and her hair was braided. And the dad looks at her and is like, whoa.
Yeah. Like, how'd that happen?
Yeah. And that is my biggest problem with a horror movie like this, is that it was good and then they blew the ending. Because I would have given this, like, I'll just go ahead and say it early on, but I would have given this a lights camera yes had that ending not been like it was.
I agree. That's because I was like, I want to like this movie, but the end sucks, so I'm mad and I don't like it.
I don't want to be sad when I'm watching a horror movie. I don't want to be sad. I want to be scared. And there is a reason that I avoid sad movies, because some people, horror movies bother them and they can't sleep. Like, they can't stop thinking about it. That's how I am with sad movies. I cannot stop thinking about, I cannot get the scene of her walking down the hall away from her kid out of my head. And I hate it. And so, like, no, I'll never watch that movie again. I really won't.
See, I was going to give this a lights camera meh, just because, like, I just thought it was like a tinge too long. I liked the story. I found it compelling, but the end really didn't do it for me. So it wasn't a yes and it wasn't a no. It was a meh.
Oh, it was a no for me.
It's a hard no. Well, yeah, you have that emotional scarring now.
Yeah, I just don't I will think about that, and no, don't like it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot. But can we talk about the connections to Elisa Lam? We all know that this is what I was really excited to talk about.
So do like a brief overview of the Elisa Lam story.
Okay. So Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old college student from Canada.
Not anything. She's literally reciting this from memory, just so everybody knows.
Vancouver, I think. And she wanted to travel, and this is the first time she'd ever traveled by herself. So she decided she's going to do like a little West Coast tour. Well, she gets to at one point in her vacation, she gets to the Cecil Hotel. And the Cecil Hotel is notorious for lots of bad stuff. So there's been multiple suicides. The Night Stalker from the 80s lived there, who was a serial killer. He killed people in the Cecil. They've had several people jump from windows. I know at one point a lady jumped and landed on a man on the street and killed them both instantly. I
feel like they touched on that in American Horror Story. A lot of these stories were.
Yeah, well, they talk about the Night Stalker. He has a big part in American Horror Story 1984. And I think actually American Horror Story Hotel is based on the Cecil.
Yes, it is. And because the one lady does jump out and land on somebody.
Okay, see, I didn't watch that season.
And the Night Stalker is also in that season as well.
Okay.
He kind of befriends I think what's his name? Evan Peters. His
Mhm.
character was like the devil, and he was living in the hotel
Yeah.
that season. So him and the Night Stalker, he like wants to pick his brain.
I want to say they brought the hotel back at some point and it was like kind of mixed in because you go maybe. Oh, I think it was the one where they mixed up Coven. It was Apocalypse. They go
Oh,
back to that hotel at some point
yes,
because you see one of the characters. I forget what her
yes.
name is.
I'm sorry, I interrupted your
No,
beautiful
no, you're fine.
retelling of this tale.
No. So Elisa Lam gets there, and at the time, nobody knew this, but she was bipolar, and I believe she had stopped taking her medicine. But she was staying in a room with other people because I guess the Cecil at some point kind of operated as a hostel. I know it's like long-term living, like it's residential living, like people will live there for like weeks and weeks at a time. Maybe they live there for years. I don't know. It's not your normal hotel where you check in for a week and check out, you're done. But
Mhm.
it's right next to Skid Row, so it's just not in a great area of town. But anyways, Elisa was supposed to check out and she doesn't. So they go to her room and nothing is it's a mess, but it's not like there was a struggle. So they put missing posters out. They can't find her anywhere. They finally release this footage of her in an elevator and she's acting so strange. Like it's like she's talking to somebody. At some point, she like kind of gets back in the corner and is kind of hiding from someone. She is pushing like an odd combination of numbers on the elevator panel, like of the buttons. She pops out and she does these like weird like hand motions, and it's almost like her hands. It's almost like there's a puppet, like a puppeteer, like holding her hands and making her do all this stuff.
I have a question about that. That elevator game, was that a thing that she like read about online and was playing, or
I
did
don't
that
know.
develop from her doing that?
I I believe the elevator game was originally some sort of like creepy pasta that was posted on like Reddit or something, but I don't know when it originated.
And that was the whole like press a certain amount of buttons and you go to another portal, right? That
It's
was that.
supposed to, so the elevator game is just you're supposed to go to a building with 10 or more floors, and there's a list of like there's an order in which you press the button. So you'll like press 2 and you go to 2, then you go to 10, then you go to like it's just all this different like order, and if you do it right, when you walk out, everything will look exactly the same except there won't be anybody around, I think.
I thought there
And
was supposed to be like a
if
person
you
there, and
well,
like if
that's
you
if you
don't
do it
engage them.
incorrectly, I
Oh
think that's
God.
when an old lady is supposed to get on the elevator with her and you're not supposed to acknowledge her. She will try to talk to you. You're not supposed to do any of this stuff. And if you do, then you're just screwed. I think she kills you. But there was, I don't know when that all became connected. Um, but they ended up not finding Elisa for, gosh, I want to say like almost 3 weeks, I think,
Hold on. I had the Wikipedia page up, but something like
when
that.
they
Yeah.
found her. So they end up finding her on the roof in a water tank with the lid closed. She's in there and she's completely naked, and her clothes are on the bottom of the water tank. And they're covered with some sort of grainy particulate that they don't know what it was, couldn't figure it out. It was all very strange. There was no videos, there was no like footage of her other than her in the elevator. And that was it. And it's still like cold case. They've never figured out who did it. The autopsy report at one point, it was marked as an accident. And then they changed it to like not known or unsure, whatever it is. Then they went back and changed it to an accident. Like it's gone like back and forth. So when they released the footage of her on the elevator, it like blew up. Like people on the internet went nuts. And you know how people love a good crime or mystery that they can solve. You know, you've got all these like internet sleuths that love to do this, and they're not necessarily a bad thing. They're very helpful in certain cases.
They
But
found that cat
yeah,
guy,
yeah, yeah, that's a
which
perfect example.
amazing. Round of applause for them.
Right.
Love those people.
So, but this just started to spiral like crazy out of control. It comes out that at one point when Elisa was lit, I don't know if it's Alyssa or Elisa. I don't know. I'm going to say Alyssa. When Alyssa was rooming with all those people, they had asked the hotel to move her to another room because she was acting so strange and weird. There is something where there was a TB, like tuberculosis outbreak on Skid Row during the time that she was missing, and the tests that they had to administer to everyone that had this strain of TB or whatever was called, the name of the test was LAM, LAM dash ELISA. And
What? I
yes,
didn't know that tidbit.
yeah. And I'm sure there is a medical explanation. I'm sure someone is like, oh, that's a really like normal like test that we do for TB. But I forgot to mention the way that they found her was because people at the hotel complained of low water pressure. The water smelled bad, it tasted bad, and it was black.
Oh, so they drank it. Okay,
Those
so like
people, that's the dead, like people were drinking dead body water. I don't understand how the Cecil didn't get sued.
Yeah, I
Like, I
mean,
don't understand. I feel like I would if I had. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not their fault. They didn't. I don't know. Maybe they could have done a better job. Maybe there was a Mr. Vec there who just was like,
Whitney's spiraling.
yeah, maybe this, maybe that. Anyways, all this stuff happened. And now, if you look into it, there is something about a government agency that works with mind control. And if you look up, there's something called the Invisible Light Agency, and it has some location like in the Cecil. And if you look up Elisa Lam's like LinkedIn, it says she's a lighting expert. So people were like, is she involved in this weird agency? Like, is this what has happened? Was it some sort of experiment gone wrong? People are like, are the Masons involved? And I'm immediately like, yes, the Masons are involved in everything.
Probably. So do they dive into all of this in the Netflix series, which is called, it's what, 6 episodes?
It's 4 episodes.
4 episodes. It's called Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. And I so desperately want to say crime scene, scene of the crime.
Crime scene of the crime.
But
no, so I've only watched 2 episodes of it so far, but I've seriously like searched for any sort of documentary on the Cecil Hotel. And like last night I was over at my friend Kim's house, and she and I and her husband were like, let's watch the Ghost Adventures with Zach Baggins. So they like went in and looked into the whole haunting at the Cecil with her, and like they went into a lot of other stuff too. They did a lot of stuff with the Night Stalker because he was like a known like Satan worshiper, and he like did all sorts of weird stuff. But there's a really good episode on Morbid, the podcast Morbid, where they talk about Elisa Lam, and they go into a lot of the theories. And another really popular one, which a lot of people believe, is that it's basically just something to do with the corruption in the LAPD. Like that the LAPD are corrupt and they had something to do with it. Like, or maybe they knew, I don't know. It's just speculation.
And there's like Reddit threads about this too, right?
Oh, there are so many theories about what happened to her. And so the elevator game, which I know in my heart that it is most likely not the elevator game, but for whatever reason, that is the one that scares me the most. Like it just creeps me out. Like I don't like, maybe she was talking to the old lady. Maybe that's like, maybe she did the game wrong and she was talking to the old lady and we just can't see it on video.
It's the sand particles now that I'm caught up on. Like, where did that come from?
Well,
was that just at the bottom of the tank and they were just drinking?
They think that had to do with whoever it was taking her clothes off before they put her body in there,
implying that someone killed her first, and then put her in there.
Yeah, and they interview, another thing that was like kind of like creepy, like freaky, was that they interviewed her last stop, the last time she was seen in person outside of the Cecil on the day that she went missing. She went to this place and it was just called the Last Bookstore, or like the Last Stop. It's either the Last Stop Bookstore or the Last Bookstore.
You also mentioned, or maybe it was in that podcast episode, the creepy quote that was on her blog. I'm upset now because that's a Chuck Palahniuk quote. I love Chuck Palahniuk.
Yeah, which one?
Hold on, it was just hold. It was like the what's the word? You know how when you had like a Tumblr or something, it would say like your main name.
Oh, like Nouvelle.
Yeah, so that was
Nuvo.
her
She's
name,
new
and then
news.
underneath it said, "You're always haunted by the idea you're wasting your life."
Yes. Yeah.
Which is, like, poetic and beautiful if you think about it, but in this context, it's deeply upsetting.
Well, and I will say that a lot of people are get kind of cagey about diving into all this stuff because she was bipolar and she wasn't taking her meds.
Right, there's a
And,
lot
you know,
of
it's,
layers to it.
yeah. And it's like, are we sitting here and we're speculating on a girl that just had like a major mental health issues and, you know, she just unfortunately stopped taking her medicine? Like, is that something that we're talking about? I will say that when I watched the Ghost Adventures episode last night, they did the special, and it there were some parts of it that felt kind of disrespectful because they reenacted it,
Oh.
and they like had someone that looked like her, like, and she would be doing stuff that you would see in a horror movie, like in the reenactments. Like, you don't know that she
No,
did that.
yeah, I
She
don't.
was like crawling on the floor with her hair hanging in her face, or, you know, and it's like, that just seems kind of wrong to do
Yeah, because, like,
that.
at the end
Like,
of the day, like, this is a real person and she
well,
died.
yeah. And I mean,
So
they do show in at least the first or second episode of the Netflix documentary, they showed them, her parents, at one of the like press conferences, and I mean, her mom just looks completely just worried, sick, devastated.
which is another connection back to this movie, which actually is no disrespect on this Elisa Lam case because it came
No,
out 8 years
before.
prior.
So that the reason that we chose to do this movie is because of the like really eerie similarities. Like, they found Natasha in a water tank. There was low water pressure in the apartment complex. There was dark water coming out of the water, like out of the faucets and everything. There was, I mean, it's just all sorts of really unsettling stuff. And it's like,
Dahlia's had mental health issues that she was struggling with, and
yes.
she was medicated, and
Well,
she was taking her medication, but that seemed to be making things worse in
well,
her
I
instance.
think her medication was for her migraines.
I see.
So there was that. The daughter's name is Cecilia. They call her Ceci. The mom,
Ceci,
yeah.
Cecil.
Well, her name is Cecilia, which is like the girl version of Cecil.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dahlia, and like the Black Dahlia has been connected to the Cecil Hotel. Like, it's just all
Ah.
sorts of like very like creepy coincidences. And I was like, we'll watch Dark Water to get me hyped up for this new Elisa Lam
I'm
documentary.
hype. I'm hype because I love true crime things. I
And
haven't seen this.
Ron Howard is behind it. Brian Grazer and Ron Howard are the ones doing the documentary.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was the guy that did the Ted Bundy tapes.
I swear, look it up. I swear the executive producer
Well,
on
this says create from the creator of the Ted Bundy tapes. His name's Joe Berlinger, but maybe
I
they
swear
have just
they
different credits.
I forget what it, they are definitely like involved in some way, because
I
I saw,
believe
and I
you.
was like, was when I saw
You would think they would put
the
that
name.
on the Netflix page though. Like it's just this Joe Berlinger guy who also did the Jeffrey Epstein thing, which was fascinating.
Oh, the what's it called? Filthy
Filthy
Rich.
rich. Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to see if they're listed on the. Is it called True Crime: The Vanishing?
Crime scene, the vanishing at the Cecil
Oh,
Hotel.
Crime Scene, not True Crime.
Crime scene, scene at the crime.
Um,
I
let's
have
see.
to stop.
Joe Berlinger. Brian Grazer is an executive producer, and Ron Howard.
Okay. Look at you, Ron Howard.
I know, Opie, get it. I'm sorry. It was uncalled for and unnecessary. But yeah, so I don't know. I really want to look more into this Invisible Light Agency. That's like the name of the secret
I
company.
wouldn't.
Don't
What
think
if
I
they get
should.
your information and they like start emailing you or they're like set up a meeting? I don't know. I just don't want you to
Oh, I feel like
disappear.
there's so many people that are already like way into this, like looking it up. I'd
I
be
mean,
like
probably, but
way late to the game. But
new recruits.
yeah, I will never. I'm like the most skeptical person ever. I'll never. I can confidently say that I will never be a part of a cult, because I'd be like, what do you mean we all have to wear the same clothes? Why do we have to wear gold? Why'd you choose gold? It's not my color. Maybe I want a different color. What do
They're
you mean?
like, get her out of here, please.
Yeah, I would drive them
Who
crazy.
recruited her?
Like, What do you mean I have to wear this sash and call you prefect? Sounds dumb. Why can't I be prefect? That's like from.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I'm way too. What do you mean we're going to get a ride on a comet? That's not. I mean,
I want to go to space.
that comet isn't even going to, like, it's going to burn us up. Are you guys listening to yourselves?
Listen to logic, I implore you.
So, yeah, so that does it. That is your quick recap of Elisa Lam and the eerie similarities between Dark Water 2005, not 2020, and Jennifer Connelly and all that stuff. Good. Look where she's come. Started at Labyrinth, made a pit
She's
stop.
Thriving.
Made a pit stop at Requiem for a Dream, which I wish she did not, and then went on to Dark Water. Have you ever seen Requiem for a Dream?
No.
Oh, don't.
I I want to. It's on my list of like movies that I should have seen already that I haven't.
It is one of those movies that you can like watch one time and you'll never watch it again.
Yeah, it's got some like imagery that's going to stick with me and probably ruin my life, but
yeah.
I have to do it. It's important.
It's got a Wayans brother in it.
That's random.
Yeah. He does a good job. They're all addicts of some sort.
That's compelling to me though. I used to like be obsessed with what is that show? Intervention. Oh.
Yes. Yes, Shane, it is a crazy messed up movie. Requiem for a Dream. Intervention, all I can think of is that lady that was addicted to like the keyboard cleaner. Do you remember that one?
I don't. Was that Intervention or My Strange Addiction?
No.
Very different.
It was Intervention. And she was addicted to the stuff that you clean your keyboards with.
Did she have holes in her face or like?
No, but she had like 1 million cats in her house.
Okay.
And the cats were back to me. The cats were like attacking the people that were trying to help her as they were like, they had to like carry her out. And the cats were like, it's like that scene of that video of the car that's parked somewhere and all the cats are in it, like running around.
Oh, yes.
That's what that house reminded me of. Just
the like one intervention scene that sticks out in my head is they're like all sitting around reading their letters and the guy just sits there and like takes it in and then he just suddenly is like, and like he's crying, but he sounds like he's yelling. And I'm just like, oh no, sir. You're not good.
Oh no.
I'll send you the clip. We've
derailed,
no. It's good. We made it to the end. Good for us.
Made it to the end. We do not have our movie for next week. I was like, maybe we should do a Valentine's Day movie because I never know what day it is anymore. And no, that won't make any sense because Valentine's Day is this weekend, I think.
It's okay. We'll figure it out.
Don't worry.
We'll let you know.
I won't be going anywhere. I'm frozen in. I'm like.
We made it though. We made it we beat the ice storm.
Yeah, we did.
Just by the skin of our teeth, but.
Yeah.
Good for us.
You should have seen my family when Mike came home and Evie like emerged from her bedroom after doing like school all day. I was like, you guys better charge your like electronics in case we lose power. And it was like a mad dash. They were
Where
running.
Are the outlets?
They were running. There were chargers flying everywhere. They were plugging stuff in. It was like.
That's so much pressure. I hate that. I hate thinking like, oh God, I'm going to lose power. I'm going to lose my battery.
The last time we lost power, Mike and I were sitting downstairs in the dark. He was like, we can watch this movie I downloaded. And it was The Kitchen with Melissa McCarthy. And we were like 20 minutes in and I was like, I can't do this anymore. How long has it been?
I'd rather do nothing.
It was 20 minutes and we were like ready to like kill someone because we didn't have any power. So I would not survive in pre-electronic times.
I hope it doesn't go out for you.
I hope not, but we'll see. Hopefully not. But that about does it for this week. If you have any movies that you want us to review, you can always email us at lightscameraknow@gmail.com. As per usual, no idea what movie we're doing next week, but we will let you know. You can find us on all the socials at Lights Camera No, except for Facebook, which is LCN Podcast. I think that about does it. We're here every week on Twitch, usually at 7:30. We had to up it a little bit this week because of the stupid ice storm, but I want to thank everybody for listening/watching, and I hope you tune in next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Later, guys.